What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Mafia Podcast, NBA edition. My name is Jordan Jaika, aka Dr. Fantasy, and as always, I'm here with my co host, the Fantasy Caveman. Today, we're going to be talking about our projected award winners in the NBA for this upcoming 2020-2021 season. So let's just dive right into it. I just kind of have it in a random order here. So
Let's go
we'll
for
kick it off with the Rookie of the Year.
it. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's
All
a
right,
fun way
I
to
like
start
it.
it off. But I think there's going to be several contenders for this
Yeah.
award this year. I think it's really tough to sit here and say, you know what, it's definitely going to be player X. And even reading different predictions, there's people that say it'll be Anthony Edwards. How much usage is James Wiseman going to have? I've seen some people make cases for Killian Hayes,
Mhm.
Isaac Okoro being in the starting lineup now for the Cavaliers. You have LaMelo Ball, and a lot of people questioning what his role is going to be in Charlotte. My choice is Obi Toppin, though.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not been an overly popular choice, but to me, this is an award that is strictly about usage at the end of the day. And I think that right from day one, I think Obi Toppin has one of the best opportunities to make an impact. When you look at their team as a whole, I think they're looking for a scoring threat. They have Julius Randle. RJ Barrett was a rookie last season, but I think Obi Toppin could step in, play a lot of minutes for them, score a lot of points, rebound the basketball for them. So I could see him putting up some pretty empty numbers overall, which is the reason why I have him as my rookie of the year. Not to mention, he's one of the most experienced players in this year's
Yeah.
class. So he's very ready to contribute and play on day one, which I expect him to do. So I'm gonna go with Obi Toppin.
Oh, that's an interesting. We're on a similar path, but we have different players. I have a guy that you kind of mentioned. I have Killian Hayes.
Okay.
I think. I mean, very similar situation. Horrible team, but Killian Hayes is their guy. I think he's gonna be a guy that has a ton of usage, put up a bunch of empty stats on a horrible team. It's I this run, if he goes on the run that I think he is going on, it's gonna be very similar to when Michael Carter Williams won Rookie of the Year. Just just a point guard on a crappy team that puts up a bunch of empty stats. Gonna be, and this like I'm very excited for Killian Hayes from a fantasy perspective. I think he can put up some decent numbers. And be one of the best fantasy rookies. But I do think, I do think the rookie of the year is going to go to a guy. This is why I don't. This is why I'm not really like I wanted. I wanted to say Lamelo Ball, and I was really considering it. But the way I look at it is, I don't think Lamelo's usage is going to be enough. I think he's going to put up solid numbers, but I think, yeah, like you said, it's all about usage with Rookie of the Year, and I'm just looking at guys that are going to have high usage, which is why I didn't really consider Edwards or Wiseman, because I don't think their usage is going to be enough, and I think this is an award that's what it all comes down to.
Were there any other players that you considered?
I mean, besides Lamelo, obviously, which I didn't do it. I did consider Obi Toppin simply because of the usage perspective, but I would say, if I had to rank him, it would probably be it would probably be Hayes, Toppin, and then Lamelo at third. But I those are the three I really seriously considered.
I'm gonna throw in one here.
Oh,
Just if I had to, because I was trying to think of, okay, if I was gonna pick somebody that's under the radar and nobody's talking about winning this award, who would it be? I
Marcus
think
Allen.
I wish. If he goes to the Thunder, maybe. Um, I would say Cole Anthony with the Magic. If I
Okay.
had to go with somebody that wasn't being talked about a lot right now, it looks like he's going to start the season coming off the bench. But they've also talked about Evan Fournier and trade rumors quite a few times. If that happened, I think that would make his case even stronger. But He's actually shown in the preseason, he showed quite a bit of offensive ability, and he's the kind of guy that can put up big numbers, especially offensively, which is
Yeah.
what this award is all about. So if I had to say one that was under the radar, I think mine would be Killian Hayes, or not Killian
Okay.
Hayes, it would be Cole Anthony.
All right.
All right, let's go to some of the other. We'll obviously leave MVP for last.
All right.
Let's go to Coach of the Year.
Coach of the year, and you're gonna like this one.
If we have the same one, I'm gonna knock you out.
I have Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, okay, cool.
We might have different, but I mean,
Do have different.
ones. I think this is gonna be more. Maybe it's more of okay, we didn't respect him last year with the job he did in Miami, so I think as long as they continue to do the same thing, I mean, it's amazing. The Heat are legitimate title contenders without a superstar. I think, and that's why I honestly think Billy Donovan should have won it last year, but
that was ridiculous. Come on,
he should have. There's no. I mean, I love. There's no way that Billy Donovan should not have won. I don't get it. I just don't. But I think Eric Spoelstra, with the job he continues to do, if he's able to do what he did last year without a superstar and be a true lead the Heat to true title contention, I definitely think he can win this award. So he's actually my pick.
Okay, I'm gonna go in a different direction here.
You're gonna go with Steven Silas.
Not Steven Silas. I can assure you that. I was curious because you have a lot of faith in the Trailblazers. I was curious if you're going to say Terry Stotts. I do think that if they make a big jump,
he could be in my top 3.
But. Yeah, I mean, I think if they make a big jump, that he could be a contender. Yeah. My choice is a man that's not being talked about at all. It is Lloyd Pierce of the Atlanta Hawks. I believe that if the Hawks do make that jump into the playoff, they only won 20 games last year. I think that I'm talking about them in the playoffs. Everybody's talking about them make the playoffs, but they only won 20 games last year. So honestly, if he's able to fit all those new pieces together and they make a jump from 20 wins to 40 even, I mean, that's pretty impressive to double your win total. So that would be my choice if they do end up making that big jump. Kind of interesting with the Hawks. So I didn't really realize this, but so they've missed the playoff 3 straight years now. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, they made the playoffs 10 straight seasons. I don't know if a lot of people realize that from 2007 to 2017, the 16-17 season, they made the playoffs every single year. So
those are pretty much those, and it's crazy to think those were mainly led by the guy who won Coach of the Year last year for a different team.
Budenholzer, yep. So that's my choice. More of an under-the-radar selection. A lot of people are going to be looking at Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, Brad Stevens.
Those are boring. Like, nobody wants
Doc
to hear.
Rivers, I've seen a few times. Tyronn Lue, I've seen.
LeBron James.
LeBron, yeah. As of right now, according to Vegas odds, Tyronn Lue has the best chance to win.
I mean, let's be real.
What about the Phoenix Suns? I mean, I think maybe Monty Williams' name should be thrown in the ring as well if the Suns make a big leap this year. I mean, I know they added a lot of pieces, but
Mike Malone could be
Malone should be in there. So there's going to be a lot of names, but I always like going with the guy similar to Billy Donovan last year, just a guy from a team that surprises. I think that should always be, not always, but I think that should be the Coach of the Year. So that is my selection.
My pick seems boring now.
Yeah, boring. All right, let's go to the Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year.
And I think there's a lot of considerations here.
There is. There's a lot of. I honestly, if I'm looking at all these awards, I think the only award that isn't wide open is Defensive Player of the Year. But we'll get to that.
Oh,
but
okay.
My sixth man, and you remember our Western Conference talk. This isn't going to shock you a little bit. I went with Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, you did. I knew you were going to do that.
I figured you knew I was going to go Carmelo. I mean, the reality is obviously Carmelo Anthony.
What about LaMelo Ball?
I want him to win sixth man and rookie. Has that ever happened? I don't think it has.
No, there's
That would
no
be
way with that
incredible.
one.
But you just look at him. Carmelo Anthony's going to provide that scoring depth off the bench that the Blazers haven't had. I think he's going to put up some stuff because he's going to have pretty much going to have reins and control of that second unit. So I think he's going to put up some solid. I don't know offhand what he averaged points per game last year, but I honestly think it could go up from what he averaged last year. So I think he has that kind of ability. And like I said, this is wide open. I mean, you can't sit here and say that Carmelo shouldn't be in consideration because if he truly does come off the bench last year, I could see him winning it. So
I mean, he should be in consideration because he will be on the bench. So I mean,
so
that at least puts him
what
in
do
consideration.
you got?
So there's a lot of names here when you look at the odds right now. The top ones are Montrezl Harrell. That's who it seems like everybody's picking. Dennis Schroeder's been thrown into the mix. I think the Charlotte backcourt's kind of interesting. I'm not sure what their plan is in terms of who's going to be starting at guard, but I do think that whatever guard is left out is an interesting name to monitor for this award. Tyler Hero technically is not starting for the Miami Heat. I think that's a really interesting name. Jordan Clarkson is another top one for Utah, leading their second unit. Gallinari, who we mentioned our few episodes ago, coming off the bench, I think he's going to be in consideration. He's my second option if I had to pick one, Gallinari. But I'm going with Spencer Dinwiddie from Brooklyn.
Okay.
I think he's going to lead that second unit. I love his gritty defensive ability, and he's really improved as a scorer. So I think if Brooklyn has a lot of success this year, another team, Steve Nash, or another guy that could potentially win Coach of the Year if that team overperforms in the regular season. But I think I like Dinwiddie a lot. I think he's going to lead that second unit on a really good team. So I think that puts him in a good spot to be in consideration. All right, let's go to most improved then.
All right, most improved. This is but I kind of tipped my hand when we talked about the West again. I'm going. I think this is this. I feel not exciting because this is a name that's getting thrown around a lot. As Michael Porter.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. You're so predictable.
I'm surprised. I know you didn't predict me to say Eric Spoelstra as Coach of the Year.
I didn't have that.
But predictably, he's in a great situation to take that leap. The Nuggets need that third star if they're gonna be serious title contenders. I think he's being put in a good situation to do so. And this most improved isn't necessarily about who's made the biggest improvement. It's about who's taken the biggest jump. I think it's more about that than who's necessarily made the most, which is stupid, but that's another thing. I think Michael Porter Jr. is set to take a gigantic leap, and I think that it could happen this year. So he's my pick.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you say that because when you look at the past winners, and I have the list pulled up right now, it is kind of interesting because you had Brandon Ingram last year. You had Pascal Siakam, Victor Oladipo, Giannis, C.J. McCollum, Jimmy Butler. These are all all-star, some of them superstar caliber players. Kevin Love, Paul George. Those are some pretty big names. So I see what you're saying. It's those guys that take the leap from maybe solid player to all-star player. So I've seen Jamal Murray mentioned a few times in that conversation because, we're all remembering what he did in the playoffs. He was not that player in the regular season. So if he was able to take that leap, that's a name. Some people have said DeAndre Ayton if he's able to continue his improvement. I saw a guy on ESPN pick Zion. I think that's a little bizarre considering how many games.
I see, but you gotta remember. I think it's all about, and like I just mentioned, it's all about, not necessarily getting better, but making the biggest jump. And we gotta remember, Zion doesn't have a minutes restriction going into this year.
If he wins, I'm going to be annoyed. He barely played last year.
I'm not I'm not saying he's going to, but
I
from
hear.
I understand the thought process on why somebody would consider it.
Nope, get out of here. Okay. I am going with somebody else that I haven't seen that much. I'm going with Christian Wood of the Houston
Okay.
Rockets.
Okay.
I really like that landing spot from him. I really liked what he did last season when he got significant minutes. I think this is a guy that can average 20 points and 11 rebounds this season, which would be a huge jump and make him a borderline all-star player. I will tell you the other guy that I really wanted to choose, and I think he'll be in big time consideration for, is Kobe White as well, because I think he's going to have usage this year. Where I mean, Kobe White averaged over 20 points a few months last season when he got the
Yep.
opportunity. So let's say he averages 23 points this year with 6 assists and is able to take that all-star kind of leap. I think Kobe White could be in consideration. So those are my top two. Christian Wood and Kobe White. Just to go with something, I haven't seen Kobe White mentioned one time by any analyst that I found, and I think that he's a really good name that should be considered for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We'll go. You said Defensive Player of the Year is obvious, so let's go to the obvious choice because I think we're going to differ here.
All right. I didn't say I didn't say it was obvious. I said it's not really that open. There's gonna be very few. I'm just gonna say I'm going with Giannis repeating. I think obviously I'm pretty sure he has the. I think he might have the second biggest. I'm not sure. I keep seeing conflicting on whether it's Anthony Davis with better odds or Giannis with better odds, but they're
Yeah.
pretty much 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Defensive. I mean, I honestly would be shocked if it's anybody other than maybe if I had to pick a third, probably Gobert. If I had to
Yeah.
pick a third, just because he's fat and big and just does.
Wow. What about Jokic?
But Giannis, I mean, I honestly like the Bucks are going to be the best defensive team in the league this year, and it's gonna be centered around Giannis on the defensive end. There's really the same case that people made last year on why he won is the same case. So no need to really repeat those. But he's gonna do the same thing he did last year, and I think he's gonna win it again.
It's going to be James Wiseman.
It's gonna be I thought you mentioned the wrong James. I thought did you mean James Harden?
Oh, get out of here. James Wiseman will win this award in his career, though. I'm going to say it right now.
Okay, I was joking, but if James Harden wins Defensive Player of the Year next year, I'm done living.
I will never talk about basketball or
I don't
watch
want
it
to live
ever.
in this world anymore.
I didn't want to pick Giannis, so I'm picking Anthony Davis just because I didn't want to pick Giannis. No, I mean either way, it's a toss-up, and it'll come down to which defense performs at a higher level this year.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
much.
last season, the Lakers allowed fewer points per game, and they were in the tougher Western Conference, so I could have probably made Anthony Davis's case last year as well. But he's one of those guys. Honestly, I think it's overdue. He's a guy that deserves to win this award. So I think that Anthony Davis is my choice. And let's see, that just leaves MVP then, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to just start it off and transition into it. He's going to pull a Giannis, and Anthony Davis is going to win MVP as well.
That's a shock.
I think Anthony Davis wants more respect, honestly. Everybody keeps talking about LeBron and LA and LeBron, but Anthony Davis is a big part of just a slight part of why the Lakers are so good. So, I think that that's really one of the big things missing from his resume now is winning an MVP and taking that next step forward. So I expect him to come out to have a really big season. The only reason you can argue against that is, as you mentioned, they did bring in some more bigs. So maybe they try to limit his minutes during the season to save them up for the playoffs. I don't know necessarily if that's a direction that they would go in, but other considerations, I mean, if you look at the top odds, they're all the top offensive threats James Harden, Luka, Giannis, LeBron. Those are all the, and I really wanted to come up. I like to try to come up with creative names, even if they're not necessarily going to be correct, because I think it's just fun to talk about them. But I honestly can't think of an under the radar MVP candidate that makes a lot of sense. Maybe Damian Lillard, maybe Jason Tatum, if I had to throw some different names into the ring, if they're able to take that next step forward. I think maybe those would be the top two names that would be surprising if they won the award. But it would be surprising, but at the same time, you wouldn't sit here right now and say there's no chance of that happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really struggled with this because I wanted to cop out and go Giannis going back to back, but there's been 2 or 3 players that have ever won it 3 times in a row. No, Wilt did it, and
I believe Michael Jordan did it.
But so I think Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think that he'll repeat as MVP. I think mainly due to voter fatigue. I think it's going to play the biggest part in that. I think voters have seen how Giannis's team has kind of faltered the last couple of playoffs. And that's going to be in the back of their minds. I'm going to go with a guy that's gone under the radar, but not under the radar. From what I've seen, he has like the 4th or 5th highest odds. I'm going with Steph Curry.
Okay.
I mean, sounds crazy, but I was looking at doing my research. Actually, what's crazy to think is that in the past 5 seasons, Curry has only finished in the top 5 in the MVP voting once in the past 5. And I think there's going to be a lot of now as much as they have other pieces around him this year that can score with Oubre and Wiggins and whatnot. I think there's going to be a lot of offensive workload on Steph Curry this season coming back. And I think people forget because Steph Curry missed most of last year. Steph Curry is one of the best shooters, or if not the best shooter of all time. You can make the case. I think he can put up on this team. I would not be shocked if Steph Curry is flirting with 30 points a game again this season. I think he has that kind of potential. I think he's probably also gonna be needed to distribute the ball a little bit more this year as well. I just think I didn't want to go traditional and say Anthony Davis or Giannis because I wanted to be different. But I think Steph Curry can put up that kind of special year. Because I think because like I said, with him missing all that time last year, people kind of forget how great Steph Curry is on the offensive end of the court. So I think Steph Curry could remind people this year of how lethal he really is. So he's my pick.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear a different one. I respect it. All right.
I would have respected me had I picked Giannis again.
No. You can't just keep picking Giannis every year.
Giannis.
All right. Any other? I think that's all the awards then, right?
Yep.
I didn't miss any. Okay. Any final thoughts on these awards or anything to do with the NBA season?
No, I mean this is probably our last official. I mean, we'll probably end up going live opening night, but in terms of recapping the general off season and just kind of what's led up to this crazy it's going to be much interesting because it's only going to be 72 games this year instead of 82. I think that's going to be interesting to monitor to see how that works. Maybe there's less load management on some stars because of a shorter season. We'll see, but very exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of parity this season in NBA. So I'm very excited to see. And where's probably one of these awards is going to go to a guy that neither one of us mentioned at all. I kind of want to go back on this episode, record all the names that we mentioned in this episode, keep them in mind, and then at the end of the year, they'll say that one of the guys that we did not bring up will win one of these awards.
I mean, that's probably a good prediction.
And we mentioned a lot of guys, but
that's why I'm like, I'm gonna name every guy in the NBA. That means I was right. No, I mean, I like talking about different guys that could win it. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting things, you kind of mentioned it with load management, but one of the other things that hasn't been talked about a ton is this was like historically the shortest off season in any sport ever.
yeah.
I mean, the season just ended, so there wasn't a huge off season this year. I think it'll be interesting to see if players adjust well to that. You could go either way with it. Maybe there's some guy, they shouldn't be fatigued at this point, but maybe they didn't get to go through their full off-season regimen. Maybe that has an impact. So that'll be interesting to monitor as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. Looking forward to talking lots of NBA basketball. Hopefully, it's a good year. I agree. There'll be lots of parity, which makes it fun. Even though the Lakers are going to be good, and we know that. But besides that,
we know the Bucks will be good too.
Besides that, there's lots of parity. But we appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you with episodes on YouTube, and make sure you go to the Fantasy Hotspot where we do all of our lives as well on Facebook. So see you guys then, and thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.